buying honey from the supermarkets, and they found over 90% of the honeys that they bought were adulterated. The honeybee has two stomachs. It doesn't just have one stomach, it has two stomachs. It's probably one of the most miraculous honeys that I find in this country. Have a smell of that. So this is called propolis. This is a really weird thing, and the prebiotics are really good for your gut health. And we're learning more and more now about how important gut health is. The other thing honey is really good for, which we don't really think about and we don't realize so much, is as a medicine now, especially for wounds. So for healing wounds and for burns. They're even using it in hospitals now as well.
On this episode of the PCHM Podcast, we sit with Khalil Attan, a beekeeper whose journey began with healing, not business. 16 years later, he's uncovering the ancient wisdom of honey, the miracle of the honeybee, and the truth behind what we consume. This is nature, science, and purpose, all in one story. This episode of PCHM is proudly brought to you by Yafa Limited, your premier source of authentic Palestinian produce and finest quality dates in the UK. Would you like to introduce yourself first, please?
Yeah, of course, yeah. So my name is Khalil Attan. I'm a beekeeper. I've been a beekeeper now for 16 years. So it's been quite a long time. Have a company called Bushwood Bees. So, that's where we've got to now. But in the beginning when we started, and I say we because me and my wife sort of started together, we've done it as a family business. We started with one small hive in the back of our garden.
When was that? What year were we talking about?
Yeah, so like 16 years ago, 1990 something it was. So it's been a long time
1990, 26 years ago, no?
No, maybe that was wrong then. No, actually it was 2009. 2009, okay. Yes, it was. It was 2009 when we first started. It was really weird actually back in the day. So the reason we started in the first place was it was actually health related. Right. So, I've been interested in nature and the universe and flowers and plants for a long time, for years. From when I was a child actually, and it was something that my parents sort of instilled in me. Which, alhamdulillah, I always pray for them that, this is something that they've given me, which I can take to the next level now, alhamdulillah.
So the intention wasn't a business ever. It was about your own health.
It was never a business. The idea was never there to do anything related to selling honey or anything like that.
Generally, that's how people set up big businesses, isn't it?
Yeah.
When they are not thinking they're going to treat it as a business.
Exactly. And then it grows into a passion. Yeah. That's the thing. So I started because I've always been interested in nature, but more than that, it was for the health benefits of the honey. So when I first started back in 2009, or before that time actually, I had really bad hay fever. It was like really seriously bad hay fever. And it got to a point where, every people who have hay fever will know this, that every year your hay fever symptoms start, your eyes start, you got water from your eyes are stinging, your nose is running, you're sneezing constantly. And it got to a stage where it was actually quite debilitating for me. I'd have to take time off work. I'd get to stages where I'm just sneezing constantly throughout the whole day. And, you're on tablets and you're on sprays and antihistamines and this and that. And it got to a stage where it just stopped working. All the medicines, nothing was making any difference for me. And then, you read in the Qur'an, it talks about honey. You talk to people, you do your research, and people talk about how honey, especially local raw honey, has pollen grains in there, which may be the pollen that you're affected by. So you can desensitize yourself by having local honey. So I thought, why don't we try this? There's no harm in trying it. But
did you go out to buy somewhere? Didn't you find, is anyone was selling them?
That was the problem. That was the problem. Back in that time. Nowadays it's a bit different. We have more beekeepers. But back then it was actually really difficult to find local honey. I was looking around everywhere. You go to the local shops and you don't find local honey. Now maybe it's different. Go to the supermarket, you find honey which has been imported from who knows where in the world. So that doesn't have the benefit that I was looking for. And actually I never used to like honey, which is another story. So when I was growing up, like most parents do, when you have a cough or a cold, they give you some honey and, a bit of honey and water and all the rest of it. But, we used to get the cheap honey from the supermarket, and I never used to like it. I never used to like the taste of it. It was like, ugh, oh no, not honey again. It's like a medicine.
It's a sweet thing, isn't it? But as a children, you just love it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we do. But I never used to like the sweetness of the honey that my parents had given to me from the supermarket. That sweetness was just too sickly, and it was over sweet, and it just didn't seem right to me. But my journey looking for local honey got me somewhere where I did actually find some. So there was one person that had, I think, local Walthamstow honey I found one time, and I tried a bit of that, and I was like, actually, you know what? I quite like this honey. And that's when I realized that the difference from local honey to like store-bought honey is very, very different in taste as well. So we thought, okay, it's so hard for us to find honey. Why don't we try it ourselves? Why don't we try to produce honey ourselves? So we went on a beekeeping experience day.
But how did you convince your wife? Was she convinced, or was there like a, you had to explain to her?
Actually, there was no convincing involved, because when I was coming back on the train from work one day, I saw an ad in the newspaper which said, come and join us for a beekeeping experience day in London somewhere. So I thought, okay, sign me up and sign her up as well. So I just signed us both up, and then we both went on the beekeeping experience day just to see if we like it, and how do we react around bees. And we quite enjoyed it. We liked it, and I think that's because I've always been into nature anyway. And my wife enjoyed it as well. She liked it as well. And then we thought, okay, this is working for us. We quite like this. Why don't we then go on to the next step and do a full beekeeping course?
Right.
So that's how the journey started. And alhamdulillah, for me, at that time there was a drive to get more beekeepers, especially in London, because there wasn't many beekeepers in the urban environment. They were trying to push for that. So I actually managed to get on a course which was over a year long, which is extremely unusual. Most courses are only for a couple of weeks. But I got selected out of like thousands of people to go on a very special course, which spanned over a year. And my wife, she didn't come on that course with me, but we were on another course separately.
Were you the only South Asian in that course, or mainly mainstream people?
Only. The only one. In that time, when we were going on courses and we were going to meetings, there was no South Asian people at all. There was no one at all in that place. And it was like the typical, what you sort of imagine beekeepers to be like, old, white people, who are probably retired now.
That's what I was thinking as well.
Yeah, exactly.
These kind of people will be there.
Yeah, they're the ones doing beekeeping, not us. Right? We don't do things like that. So it was like that. Back in those days, it was definitely 100% like that. I used to meet people who would say to me, oh, I've never met an Asian person before. They'd never interacted with Asian people before, and especially with Muslims. They'd never even spoken to a Muslim before. Which, for me, it was a really weird thing. Growing up where I grew up in London, we've got mixed people all the time, right? You go to school and, you grow up with people from all races and all backgrounds. But it was very weird in those days because there wasn't many people around. But we went on the course. We enjoyed it. We felt that, we could do this. Why don't we give it a try? Let's get a hive and see how it goes. So we got one hive in the back of the garden. It done well. Alhamdulillah, it done really well. We got excess of honey from that hive. And then we started, giving it to our family and friends and all the rest of it. And eventually we thought, we can probably expand this a bit. Why don't we get another hive and get more honey out of it? So we got another hive, and slowly, the number of hives started expanding. And it got to a stage where, people were giving honey away to people. But then people started asking us for honey. They were like, oh, I'd like to buy a jar of honey as well. It's like, okay, if you want to buy a jar of honey, we'll sell you a jar of honey as well. And people just used to come to our door every now and again, word of mouth. People just used to come, pop in, pick up a jar of honey. And that's how the business started in the first place.
But I'm always, I know you for so many years now.
Yeah.
And always, a little bit away from honey.
Yeah.
Your ethnicity. I always really wanted to guess myself.
Okay.
I always think like Pakistani, Indian and all that stuff.
I'd heard it all. So you can try.
So that's why
people always try to guess my ethnicity, and most people are wrong. So you give it a try.
I wanted to connect your ethnicity to honey in there as well. So I guess I remember we had a conversation once, and you told me that you are from Burma.
Yeah.
From Rohingya background.
Yeah.
So is there...
My father is anyway.
Your father?
Yeah, not my mother.
Your no mother.
Yeah.
Mother was what ethnicity?
Indian.
Oh, she was Indian.
She's from India.
And your father is Burmese.
Yeah.
Or would you call them Burmese or...
Yeah, Burmese.
Or ethnicity. Burmese is a country and ethnicity is Rohingya.
No, you call them Burmese as well.
Burmese.
Yeah, Burma is the country.
Oh, right, okay.
Or Myanmar, as it was called. Yeah. And people are Burmese.
So were your parents, like, is there any influence from your parents from that side about the honey, or they were just like normally like other people, just go and buy from supermarket and stuff?
Yeah, it was like that. So there was no influence from them to get into honey or, to get bees in the first place. But like I sort of said before.
But when they start getting this raw local honey, you were making it. What was their reaction? How did they react to it? Normally, my parents, if I'll take them, for example, this one to them, they're going to say, what is that? It's sugar. We're not going to eat that. Yeah. So
actually, I think it was a bit different for me and my family because they knew that I was the one producing the honey. And they knew how I was looking after the bees. I'll tell them about it all the time. And they had a lot of interest in it as well. They were following my journey throughout, and they still do, alhamdulillah. So they knew how we look after the bees. They knew that obviously we're not doing anything with the honey. They knew it was pure, and we'd explained to them as well. So when honey, crystallizes like this, goes hard and crystallizes, they understand what that process is. They know what it's about. They know it's not adulterated honey. So alhamdulillah, they were very big supporters of ours, and they still are. I think for my wife, on the other hand, I think it was a bit I don't know if I should say a bit of a shock, but it was a bit of a funny thing that the parents would look at saying, what, you're a beekeeper? Can you imagine a South Asian lady doing beekeeping? Especially back in those days. It's a bit different now, but back in those days for a South Asian lady to do beekeeping was a really completely unheard of thing. People might look at you thinking, what on earth? What is wrong with you?
Your own people discourage you, Your own people say that what you're doing, this is not for you. That kind of
why on earth are you doing this? This is not the line you want to go in. You're going to get stung, Go to the shop and buy the honey instead. It's easier for you, and it is easier. But, that's not what we wanted to do. But alhamdulillah, my wife is, we have a very similar mindset, I think, when it comes to the way we deal with nature and our outlook on things. So alhamdulillah, we've been doing this together for so many years, and we run the business together now. The business has expanded. Working with your wife for 16 years.
That's a beautiful thing. You create a bonding and
a lot of people
relationship
think
and stuff.
Why you're going to work with your wife?
how your children react to it? Like mom and dad both are working together.
They're actually fine about it because we get our children involved as much as we can as well, which I think is something we should encourage. So we should encourage our children to do things with us as well, no matter what it is. But especially something like beekeeping, getting them back in touch with nature, something that we want, we should all be doing anyway. All of us should be getting in touch with nature, but we don't. That's the problem. And I think a lot of times it stems from sort of our background as well, being South Asian. If we go back, if we look at a lot of people's houses, let's just take this as an example. It just popped into my mind, so I'll talk about this now. So you look at a lot of people's houses and you look at their gardens, especially within our South Asian community. We have this thing about, putting concrete slabs in our garden and put tiles down and cover up all of the soil and all of nature, what's given you. And I think the reason we do that is because it's sort of ingrained in our brains that this is a sign of, I shouldn't say affluence, but it's something that, we strive for, because maybe back where we come from, India, Pakistan, Burma, wherever we come from, there's plenty of land around. There's plenty of greenery around, but there's not much where, if you have a house and you decorate it up and you put tiles down, everything, it's a nice thing. It's a thing that we want. We want to have it like that. And we bring that back with us to this country. Whereas here, I live in London. What kind of size gardens do we have in London? Not much at all, right?
That's true.
So why are you covering all this up? Enjoy it. We should be looking after the earth. We should be looking after the plants. We should be planting more. Enjoy what, Allah has given us.
Now you've been around for 16 years. You've been doing this. How do you think, like in Qur'an, honey has been mentioned as well. In ancient civilization as well, honey has a very, very important role in there as well. So how do you think honey is a miracle how would you describe it? Someone asked you that honey is kind of like a miracle. How would you describe that?
Yeah. So in terms of like, the way people were dealing with honey for millennia, you're absolutely right. It's something which is one of the first sweet items that we as humans have experienced. And it holds almost a, mystical or magical kind of, it's a magical thing. People look at it as like that. So, from ancient times, people would collect honey, they would use honey, and they'd come to realize and they'd come to understand that this product is so valuable that, they would go and collect the honey without bee suits like we have on now, risk getting stung, potentially risk being killed as well for this sweet kind of thing that they have. But it's not just because it's sweet, it's because it has a source of healing inside it. And people have known about this for millennia now. So if we look at, it was from Babylonian times and from the ancient Egyptian times, they found honey in some of the tombs in ancient Egypt. And that honey is still, it's like thousands and thousands of years old, but it's still good.
It never expires, isn't it?
It doesn't expire. It doesn't go bad. That's the thing about honey. When it's raw and it hasn't been processed and it's in that pure state and the bees have, got it down to the right level, it doesn't go bad. And I think that in itself is one of these things that gives it this mystical kind of power about it. And people look at it as like, this honey is outlasting me. It's going to go on longer than I am. And it's got this thing where it heals wounds. We know that it's good for coughs and colds. And people understood that from long time ago. They understood that. And we're just coming back to realizing this now, unfortunately. We've got into the habit now of taking medicines, anything that we have a cough, we have a cold, we go to our medicine cabinet and we just start taking all these artificial kind of things to heal ourselves.
Because that's what they're promoting, isn't it? That's what they want us to do.
Yeah, exactly. But why don't we go back to something which has been mentioned in the Qur'an and has been mentioned in Hadith? And people have been doing it for millennia. Why don't we go back to those kind of things? So, in the Qur'an, it talks about how honey is a shifa. It talks about that. And there's an ayat, Surah An-Nahl, where it's got 2 small verses in there which talk about honey and the miracle of the honey. And it talks about various colors of honey as well. Like we can see here, we have different colors of honey. And they all have different shifa in them as well. So why don't we use that for our benefit? And that's what we should be doing. We should be using that. I actually think there's, the Quran is one of these things which is a miracle in itself. We know that the Quran is the miracle, and everything which comes out of that is miraculous. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the honeybee, this tiny little insect that can produce this vast amount of honey, which is a benefit for mankind. It talks about that in there.
Talking about that one honeybee, how much honey does it produce in their lifetime?
This is something that always, I can't even fathom it when I think about it, because I check the bees every week as part of my looking after the bees and checking on them. I check them every single week. And one single bee in its entire lifetime, and its life is about, it's not actually very long. So in the summer, a work honeybee only lives for about 6 weeks. That's its life. It lives for only about 6 weeks. So, the queen will lay the egg. That egg then has to go through a process. So it becomes a larvae, which is like a caterpillar. And then it goes into a cocoon. And then inside that cell, that honeycomb cell, change takes place. So it's like us being in the body of our mothers, right? Things are developing now and change is happening. So a similar kind of thing with the bee. All this change is going on. And it takes 3 weeks. So that process from when the queen lays the egg to a new bee being fully developed and coming out of the cell takes 3 weeks.
That's a miracle in itself.
That is a miracle in itself, isn't it? So that's 3 weeks. And the timing is accurate on this. It's like 3 weeks. We know exactly how long it takes. And then it comes out and it starts doing work in the hive, which is amazing. How does it even know that it needs to do things? And it does it based on its maturity level. So when it comes out of the cell,
Yeah.
its body, although externally it looks like it's fully developed, like us with humans, right? We're small. The bee is not small and it doesn't grow larger like we do, right? We come out small and we grow larger. The honeybee, when it comes out, it's in its right size. So it's the right size. But things internally are still developing as it's getting older. So the very first thing it can do is it can't really do much. It can't defend the hive. Its stinger hasn't developed yet.
Yeah.
It can't produce royal jelly, which we could talk about afterwards. It can't evaporate the nectar. It can't do things like that. So the only really job it can do is cleaning. It can do cleaning duties. That's more or less it. So it comes out of the cell.
Yeah.
It goes and has a bit of a drink of honey for itself to give it some strength.
Yeah.
It's had a bit of a hard time getting out. And then it starts cleaning. So the cell it's come out of, it'll probably go back to that cell and clean that cell first because it knows that it can do that. And then it'll go around and clean other cells up. And then as its body starts developing a bit more, it can start taking nectar that the bees are bringing in from the outside.
Right.
So the bees outside will come and bring the nectar, and give it to these young bees, and then they'll go off and put it in the cells and start evaporating it.
Oh, so they have got their role.
They have their roles.
Yeah.
So all the honeybees go through these various stages within the hive.
Okay, when they're younger, that's their role.
That's their role.
And then when they grow older, then they go out.
Then they go out, yeah. Okay. So then, they do that and then they start defending the hive because their stinger has developed now. So now they can defend. So they'll be at the entrance. They'll be guarding the entrance to make sure that other
soldiers are there as well.
The soldiers at the entrance, exactly. The soldiers at the entrance are there. And then one of the last jobs the bee does is actually, I shouldn't say the most important, but the one that we're aware of, where it goes out and it collects nectar and it does pollination.
Right, okay.
So that
and how far they can travel, like for example, like in this country is different because the weather is like summertime and stuff. But maybe if you go South Asia and Africa, the summertime is longer. So
summertime is a lot longer.
So then do they produce more, or do they travel longer, or do they produce more honey? How does it work?
Yeah, they don't really produce more honey. So when bees travel to collect their nectar, as a general guideline, especially in London and this area, they'll probably travel about a mile or so. A mile or so. But you think about it, they're tiny.
They're
tiny
insects. A mile is a long distance.
A mile is huge. If you think this is the hive and they're traveling a mile from that hive, it's a big area. It's a big area. But that's like in general. But they can travel up to 5 kilometers. From their hive to collect a source of goodness. And the thing about the bee, which I think is such a miraculous thing and something that we should take as a lesson as well, is they go for quality. That's what they go for. They go for quality over anything else. So
the honeybee decides that which one. So when it goes out first, it'll go on foraging duties. So it'll go to look for what's good out there. And it will find sources of nectar. Some of them have more natural sugars in them. Some of them have more vitamins and minerals in them. So they pick the best one. Right.
And then they come back to their hive and they tell everyone else where that is. But if there's a good source of nectar, which is 1 kilometer away, but it has less sugars and less goodness in it, but then there's another source which is 5 kilometers away, but that one is so rich and it has so much benefit in there for the colony, they'll go there. They'll fly 5 kilometers away, which is a huge distance.
So definitely communication going on as well. Like
huge amount of communication going on in the hive. They go to that far source and then come back and collect it because they know it's a source of goodness. And they go for quality, which, for us, right, we should be thinking that way as well.
Yes.
When we're doing
excellence,
our businesses. Exactly. We should be looking to benefit ourselves and the environment with the best. Don't go for the cheap things or don't go for things which are closer. If you have to travel to gain knowledge from somewhere, go for the best knowledge. Why go somewhere close where you're not getting that knowledge? Go further afield like the bee does. But look at what it does. Look at the signs it's giving us. It's amazing.
That's an amazing lesson we can learn.
That's
a very powerful start. If it's anybody watching right now and they want like top three benefits from honey and they want to start using it from today, what are the top 3 benefits they can get?
So we sort of touched upon one of them before. So we know that when we have coughs and colds and things, we naturally go for the honey. We want to go for the honey at that time. It's almost like our body is telling us that this is something which I need. So honey is really highly antimicrobial.
Right.
So if you have a cough or a cold and you have honey, it really relieves that cough and cold. Even when it goes down your throat, you can feel it. You can feel the goodness as it's going down your throat as well. And it has this ability where it kills off all these germs inside your body as well. So for coughs,
it has to be raw local honey. Like you can't go for supermarket and all that.
I would try to avoid, especially the cheaper supermarket honeys. The problem with those, unfortunately, we're in this kind of world now where people are so into money. That's what it is.
It's all about money.
It's all about money. Yeah, you look at what's going on in the world, and most things in the world, when you look at it, it's about money, unfortunately. And it's the same with honey as well. It's actually I think it's one of the most. If you look at the top 3, I think it's 2 out of the most adulterated products on the planet.
Wow.
So there's a huge amount of adulteration which goes on in honey. And we don't realize that as consumers, and I know about this now because I've been doing it for a long time, but the general public are becoming more aware of this, but it's something that I think we need to educate people on. Sure. Because, we look at things and we think, oh, this jar of honey is like £2.
Yeah.
And I've got a cough or a cold. Why don't I get that and just buy that one? And then you buy that, you look at the back of the packet and it says a blend of EU and non-EU honey. What does that even mean? It's blended from things from all over the world.
Oh.
But the other problem is that, they've been doing studies and they've been doing research and they've been doing validation testing on adulteration as well. And especially within the last few years, that's becoming more and more something which people are doing, which, alhamdulillah, is a good thing. Yeah. We want to know that what we're buying is pure.
Yeah.
And I think when they done the last study, which I believe was last year, they found they were going to the supermarkets and just buying honey from the supermarkets. And they found over 90% of the honeys that they bought were adulterated.
Wow.
So not just that it had honey from multiple sources in there.
Basically, local honey is better rather than like cedar honey is from Yemen. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But then if I live in London, for me, the local raw honey is better.
The local raw honey is going to be the best for you. It contains goodness.
So let's come back to the 3 benefits. What top 3 benefits I'm going to get if I start using local raw honey from today?
Yeah. So firstly, especially if you have local raw honey in the morning, it gives you that energy
on
boost.
empty stomach.
On an empty stomach.
They say don't eat sugar on empty stomach.
Yeah. With honey, what I would do is I would have it in a glass of warm water first thing in the morning.
Right.
So rather than just having it raw, put it in a glass of warm water and have that first thing in the morning. What that'll do is it will boost your energy.
Right.
So give you an energy boost straight away. So, it has sugars in there, natural sugars rather than artificial sugars. But it's more of a slow release as well. So it gives you that pickup straight away, but then it will release those sugars slowly over the day.
Second one?
Yeah, so that's like the first thing you should do.
One, yeah.
The other thing that honey is really good for is to aid your digestion as well.
Right.
So it has prebiotics in there as well. And the prebiotics are really good for your gut health. And we're learning more and more now about how important gut health is.
Yeah.
This is something that, you read about it everywhere now. People are talking about gut health. So I think, to have honey, you can even have that before you go to bed and it'll help your digestion as well.
So what was so first one is in the hot water, roll it, and then second one is when
I'd have it
before you go
later
to
on.
bed.
Yeah, have it later on to help your digestion as well. And I think the third one is if you have it on a daily basis, however you want it, even if you put it on a bit of toast or whatever, it's really good for fighting away, the coughs and colds and all the fevers and things that we have, especially now. We're coming up to winter now, and there's going to be a time now where everyone's going to start catching coughs and colds. So to build up your immune system, so as an immunity booster, to have honey is a really good thing. So I think those 3 things are probably the things that I would do.
So normally people ask what's the best time to consume it. So in the morning, or before you go to bed.
Yeah, morning on an empty stomach is really good to have. I also know a lot of people now who, they go to the gym or they go out running and things as well. And, a lot of my friends, I've started giving them a bit of honey. I was like, try this honey and see what you think. And they've noticed for themselves, and they come back and tell me that, when I have this honey before going to the gym, it gives me such a boost. So a friend of mine, he's a runner. He does running and he times himself all the time. So the first time he had the local honey, and then he went for a run, he came back surprised and he told me, he goes, you know what? I felt like I had so much more energy by having this, and his time had gone like reduced so much.
So these are kind of like a real life stories.
Yeah.
Can you share a bit more? These kind of real life stories you have?
Yeah. So that's one where, you can have it to boost your energy level. Yeah. So before going to the gym, before going for a run, have some honey as well, and it'll give you a nice boost as well. So I'd say, do that as well. The other thing honey is really good for, which we don't really think about and we don't realize so much, is it's used in as a medicine now, especially for wounds. So for healing wounds and for burns, it's something which is becoming.
Put it on.
You can put it on burns and wounds. Yeah. So much so that they're even using it in hospitals now as well.
In this country?
In this country, they've started doing it. And I think it started off in the US actually, and now it's starting moving to this country as well. So when I used to work previously in my previous job, my manager, who's in America, he was telling me that his mother, she suffered from some serious burns. I didn't go into exactly all the details, but she had serious burns across her body. The doctors in the hospitals, and in America everyone has private medical, right? So you have like the best, you have the best kind of medical if you can afford it. And they were wrapping her wounds in honey.
Wow.
So they were wrapping it in honey. Rather than going for anything else, they went for the honey because they knew that the way the honey works, it has a process in it where it gets rid of excess moisture from your body, and it gets rid of all of that. And a lot of the bacteria which causes problems for our skin and it stops it from healing, it needs that moisture in it. And the honey will actually get rid of that, and it will kill all of that. So it will help with the healing as well.
That's beautiful. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they're starting to use it now in a lot of the hospitals and things like that, which, we've known about this for centuries.
Yes.
People have been using it for centuries as well. But, whenever you talk to people, not everyone actually, when you talk to people in some of the medical environments, they say this word called anecdotal evidence.
But
right?
they want to sell their own.
They want to sell their own one. Or sometimes what it is also, we've given talks to doctors and nurses and, people in hospitals and things like that. When you talk to a lot of people in private, they'll actually tell you that, we know that honey is good for you, but they're not allowed to say it.
Yes.
Sometimes they're held back from saying it because, like you say, they've been told that, no, we have to prescribe this.
Yes.
And it comes from, these medical companies which are selling it to us. We have to get these out of there rather than going back to something which is natural, doesn't cause other problems as well. The problem with some medicines as well is, and I know this because, people in my family take lots of medicines for medical reasons. Yeah. But sometimes they give you one medicine, and to counteract the problems that medicines give you, they give you another one.
Medicine,
and then you have the other one, and you look at it, and it's like, okay, this one will help me with that thing, but that also has a side effect. Yeah. So then I have to have another one to counter that one. So you're going round and round in circles sometimes. Like you have one problem and you're having 5 medicines because it causes problems for your stomach, and then you have to have a medicine which is going to counteract the problem with your stomach, and then it elevates your blood pressure, and then you have to have a medicine which is going to lower your blood pressure and things like that. Whereas honey doesn't have that kind of issue.
That's brilliant.
You don't get side effects from it.
Yeah. So now let's sort a problem out for people watching, right? If someone is watching and they say, "Oh, I don't have access to raw local honey," right? That doesn't matter whichever part of the world they're in, and they want to buy it from supermarket. Help them what they're looking for when they go and buy honey. Yeah. So not all supermarket honey is going to be bad. Some of it is going to be decent honey as well. And it depends where in the world you are, like you mentioned there. So here in the UK, I would still look for a company which is a small company. And you do get that as well. Right. In some of the supermarkets, you do get honey which is made from small companies. But also, if you look at the jar, you want one where it's from a single source, a single country at least. Okay. So rather than honey which has come from all over the world, get one where, we're here in the UK, get one which says
produce of the UK only on there.
Okay.
Nothing else in there.
Right.
That's probably the one I would go for. Go for something like that. Because then you know that it's come from here. There's probably testing which has gone involved in that as well. But it's not going to have these multiple sources. The problem with multiple sources as well is if they just blend it, that's one thing. And I understand why supermarkets do this, because they want the taste to remain the same. So if you buy a jar of honey from one of the supermarkets 1 week, and then you come back in a couple of weeks and you get it again, they want the flavor profile to be the same every single time. Consistency. Yeah. That's why they get honey from all over the world and they blend it, because they want it to taste the same all the time. Oh, right. So they might blend it on different compositions. Oh, but the problem we have is some countries where they buy the honey from, their beekeeping practices are not very good.
Okay. Right.
So they may be feeding the bees artificially. They may be artificially feeding the bees with sugar, for example. That's not real honey then. Oh, right. Sometimes the bees like us, they can get diseases, they can get illnesses as well. And in some countries, what they do is to mask those problems, they even feed antibiotics to the bees.
Seriously?
Yeah, they feed antibiotics to the bees.
On commercial basis when they produce a lot of honey.
Yeah, exactly. They do that. And what that does is it masks the disease that the bees might have, but then it's going into the food chain, which is not good. Yeah. And then, even beekeepers don't realize that honey, it still may have some spores of the disease that the bees have back where they came from. Yeah. And if I was to buy that jar of honey, me as a beekeeper, if I was to buy that jar of honey and give it to my bees, I'm potentially giving them disease. Yeah. And that happens. That happens as well all the time. I've known that for beekeepers who, unfortunately, their education was lacking slightly. That what they did is brought a jar of honey from the shop, fed it to their bees, and passed on disease to their bees. And in this country, we don't give antibiotics to our bees. Okay. So if your bees have, there's two diseases which are very serious globally. There's two diseases which are very serious. In some countries, if you have those diseases, you are allowed to give them antibiotics. Okay. Or there's no regulation for you to actually inform anyone. Right. Whereas in this country, we have a legal requirement that if you even suspect your bees have one of these diseases, you have to tell the bee disease inspector. It's a government body.
Oh, wow. That's very good, isn't it?
It's very good. Yeah, it's a very good thing. You have to tell them, and then they come down. It's a free service. They come down, they check your bees for you for free, and they'll even send a sample off to the lab, and they'll get it analyzed to make sure it actually is one of these diseases. And if it's one, which is called American foul brood, if it's that one, which is the most serious one, because it spreads so rapidly from hive to hive, they actually kill all the bees.
SubhanAllah. Nice.
Everything is killed. Your honey is destroyed. Your bees are killed. They dig a pit in the ground and they burn everything because it stops the spread. Wow. So in this country, it sounds quite harsh, and it is harsh, but because they do that in this country, we have a very low incidence of this disease in this country. But we also know that disease is not going to be spread in the honey because the honey is burnt as well. You're not even allowed to take that honey for yourself. And that's burnt as well. Whereas in other countries, they don't do that. They'll just give antibiotics to the bees, or they won't even have a body that they can go to for this advice. So it spreads like that. So we don't want that in our honey as well.
But then the supermarkets, they're buying this honey from abroad. Yeah. Do they look into this? Do they? Because it's money isn't there, isn't it? Like that's what my next segment is. Like how, it's a big business. Supermarkets, the demand there.
It's a massive business.
It's a massive business. And then I remember once you mentioned it to me as well, that it's a natural product, but then you can literally become a millionaire. You can make a lot of money out of this.
You can make a lot of money.
Let's go to that side of things. Yeah, go on. So how can you become a millionaire of just selling a natural product like honey?
Yeah, so you can do it, but I think with honey, there's not huge amounts of money you can make on it unless you scale. So it's all about scaling your business. So, where we are now after 16 years, we have a business. It's called Bushwood Bees. We sell honey. When we first started the business, we were selling just pure honey, pure local honey, like this that you have. That's all we were doing. And there's a good market for that. But if you have only a few hives, you're not going to make a huge amount of money. You have to start small. And that's what we tell people as well. Start small. The important thing is quality, like the bees do, right? We want quality over quantity. So start there. Start with, a hive in your garden, or you can even buy honey from a reputable person that you know, from a local beekeeper that you know and you can trust. Buy from them and start selling that and market that as well. But as Muslims, as Asians, we should be proud of this product that we sell, and we should be selling only the best. That's what it should be. Our niyyah, our intention should be that we are doing this as a source of goodness and a source of blessing as well. Because we talk about how it's talked about in the Qur'an about honey and how it's a source of shifa. But we are also encouraged to do business as well. That's the other thing.
Prophet ﷺ was a businessman, so it's like a full circle, isn't it? It's mentioned in the Quran. It's a medicine. It's a shifa in there. And Prophet ﷺ was a businessman as well. So you can do everything with this.
You can do everything. And there's not many businesses which can say that.
Yes, they can't.
There's not many at all. I can't think of another one. There probably is, but I can't think of another one off the top of my head. So, like you say, it has shifa in it. It's mentioned in the Quran. It's something that the Prophet ﷺ has recommended for us as well. And like you said, the Prophet ﷺ himself was a businessman. And he encouraged trade as well. And so if you look at all of those things...
And bees are good for the ecosystem and all the rest of it.
Bees are extremely good for the ecosystem. There's hadiths which talk about how when we plant a tree or we plant a bush or a flower or a fruit on veg, and if someone eats from that or a bird eats from it or an animal eats from it, that for us is like sadaqah jariyah.
That's right.
Isn't it? We're getting sadaqah for that. There's a blessing in this, to plant a tree or to plant a flower. And looking after bees, one of the main jobs that the bees does, apart from honey, we all know about honey, right? But there's so much more to it than that. It's pollination. And pollination is the thing that the bees do, which gives life to the flowers. So looking after the bees, if your intention is, okay, I'm going to look after the bees, they're going to go out and pollinate all of these flowers and all these bushes and all of these trees. Because of that pollination, these birds are now going to have food to feed on. These animals are going to have food to feed on for themselves. So we're going to benefit from that as well. If you go in with the right intention, you're going to get sadaqah jariyah for that as well. Just by looking at that.
So you become like a millionaire of Jannah, isn't it? Rather than this world, multi-millionaire of Jannah.
Multiple millionaire, But your intention has to be right. That's the thing, it's like, when I talk to people about this, I always say to them that, look, don't think of the money side first. Money will come. When you're doing something good, the money will come. But that shouldn't be at the forefront of your mind.
When you're solving someone's problem, they need something pure, raw, local, and you're providing them. They will pay you, like you will make money.
Exactly. But it shouldn't be about the money firstly. It should firstly be about the product.
That's right.
Get the product right. Make sure you learn about the product as well. So learn about the benefits of the honey. Learn about the benefit of the bee. Learn about the Quranic ayahs. Learn about what our Prophet ﷺ told us about these things. And then go into it with your mind open as well. But you have to also learn as well. So, we are encouraged as Muslims to learn, right? Iqra, read, go out and read, increase your knowledge. And even in Surah Nahl, it says, for this is a sign for those who reflect. We should be reflecting on these things. We should be increasing our knowledge. And as business owners as well, that's something we should be doing as well. Learn about the bee, learn about what it does, learn about business as well. Learn about how can I increase my thing, and don't just sit there and hoping that everything's going to come from the sky. It doesn't happen like that. Especially if we look at the times we're in now, things are changing so quickly. Social media is a big thing now. The way people buy things is changing. We have artificial intelligence coming up now as well. Things are changing at a very quick pace. Technology is changing very quickly. And as business people, as Muslims, we should be at the forefront of this technology. And it should be helping us. We should be leading the way rather than sitting behind and like pulling up things when it comes. So, look at your product, build up your business, make sure you're doing it for the right reason, and scale up. And when we talk about scaling up, I also mean from the beehive, everything you get from a hive is good. There's goodness in the hive. And it's not just honey that the bees produce. They produce a lot of other things as well. We should take advantage of that.
Products here, isn't it?
Exactly. So they produce pollen.
Yeah.
They bring pollen back from the hive.
Right.
Pollen is a superfood.
Oh, wow.
So it has so many vitamins and minerals and amino acids in there. It's regarded as a superfood now. You can collect pollen as well, and you can sell pollen as well.
Oh, wow. And how do you consume pollen? Like
you can have it raw.
Yeah.
It goes really well in yogurts.
Right.
Or if you put it over your cereals. Right. Or you can even bake it as well.
What is it good for? Like, how does it help?
Yeah, because it has so many vitamins and minerals in there, it's almost like having vitamin tablets on a daily basis. Wow. It's that good.
Superfood.
Yeah, it's superfood. And it's from plants as well. And plants have been there for millennia.
Wow.
There's so much healing from that as well. So this is what the bees usually use to feed their young.
Oh, okay.
And also the bees will feed on this themselves, and then they can produce something called royal jelly.
Right.
After consuming this. So this is a source of food for them as well. So this is a source of food. So that's a really good thing that the bees collect.
Yeah.
This is a really weird thing. So this is also something
can you take it out?
Let's have a look at that.
What is it? What do you call that?
So this is called propolis.
Okay.
Oh, it's really tight. Here we go. Here we go. Have a look at that. Yeah. Take it out. Have a look. Have a smell as well. Especially have a smell.
Oh.
To me, it almost smells like a perfume or like Bakur.
Yes.
Or something like that.
It smells like that. You smell in Saudi and Emirates.
Yeah, it smells like that, doesn't it? Yeah. So this is what the bees collect as a medicine for their hive.
Okay.
So this is actually a medical grade thing that the bees collect. And what they do is they'll go out to a plant or a tree.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you've probably seen it. A lot of us have seen it where a plant or a tree, the branch might have broken and you get this sap coming out of the branch.
Yeah.
So that is what the bees collect.
Oh.
And then they add a bit of honey into it and a bit of enzymes in as well. And then they can produce this propolis. And then they use that propolis. It's healing for the plant. And the plant is out in the open, surrounded by all of these bugs and disease and everything. So if it's really good for these things which are out in the environment, have been there for thousands, for millions of years, longer than we have been on the earth, it must have some good in it.
Yeah.
So the bees collect that and they use that to coat the inside of their hive. So the whole of the hive inside is coated with this propolis, and it creates a pure sterile environment within the hive. And it's so good that they're even doing research on it, because they found that it can kill everything, including MRSI in it as well.
Wow.
So at the moment, when they've been testing it, they haven't found anything that it can't kill yet. So natural things are so good.
So I was just thinking about honey, like this is education for me. This is way like the pollens, this is amazing.
So we don't realize as well that a lot of it's really good for your throat as well. When you have a sore throat, pollen is amazing.
How do you consume?
What a lot of people do, we don't obviously do this, but you can buy tinctures.
What do you call it again? Sorry,
it's propolis.
Propolis. How do you consume propolis for your health benefits?
So you can. What I would do is make a tincture out of it.
Okay.
So it's quite strong as it is, so you can make a tincture out of it. And what most people do, so when you buy tinctures, usually they use alcohol in there.
Okay.
Specifically vodka. They use like a high grade like alcohol. And the reason they do that is because it pulls the goodness out of the propolis and it basically kind of dissolves it within that formula. Well, it doesn't dissolve it, it pulls out a lot of the goodness from there, and then they strain it, and then the liquid which remains, you just have a spoonful of that every now and again, or especially when your throat is really hurting, or you have ulcers, or you have problems, even wounds, you can rub it on a wound as well. But because we don't have alcohol, there's other ways to do it as well. So you can do it in olive oil.
Wow, olive oil is
so you can leave it steeped in olive oil. So you just take some of these grains, you fill it up with olive oil, and you just shake it every couple of days, let it go like that for a month or two, strain it out, and that liquid that remains, you can have that. Wow. So you can do that as well.
Yeah.
So you can do that. Or you can even do it in water as well. Even in water, you can do that as well. It will pull out some of the goodness from that as well. So this is something which I personally am looking at as well now. So I'm looking at the benefits of that. I have a good friend of mine who used to be a beekeeper as well, mashallah. And he's a dentist. Right. He'll know who he is when I mention. His name is Munir, mashallah. Really lovely bloke. I've known him for years. But he's quite a senior doctor. He's quite a senior dentist. And what he's doing is he's looking at the medical use of propolis within dentistry, specifically for pain relief and for healing in the mouth. So he's doing research about that. Him and there's a couple of other people who are looking at that as well. So it has such a huge benefit for us, but we don't even realize this. But even in the medical field, they have been using propolis for years in a lot of the cough medicines that you can buy. So a lot of the really expensive cough medicines will actually have propolis tincture in there as well, which we don't actually realize. And now they're trying to synthesize it as best they can, but they can't do it as good as what nature brings back.
Yeah, of course.
Nature's the best. You can't get to that stage as nature has. Right. You can't. So, it's so good within the hive that, like I said, the bees coat the entire hive in propolis. Right. So even the cells, before the queen will lay an egg into the cell, she checks the cell first. Right. So the queen will go and have a look at the cell. She'll measure it. She'll look at it. She'll make sure it's clean. And if it's not being cleaned out, she won't even lay an egg in there because it's not sterile. So she wants it all sterile. She needs it a nice sterile environment. The way the bees do that is they add propolis within the cell to make it sterile. So it's almost like, if you have a baby in an incubation unit and it's a completely sterile environment, that's how it is for the hive. Wow. And that's even more than that, because the bees which are out foraging on the plants, they might come into contact with bugs and diseases outside as well.
And when they come back, this helps them.
When they come back, they might potentially pass some of that onto the hive. So they even put a line of propolis just where the entrance to the hive is. So the door of the hive.
This is amazing.
Like, how outside our door, we might have a mat there. So we rub our feet on the mat and we clean it. And then we walk in, so our shoes are clean. So they put this line of propolis on the entrance of the hive. So when the bees come back from outside, they have to walk on that propolis. Their feet are now sterile and clean, and then they're allowed into the hive.
Amazing.
So within the hive, everything is pure, everything is clean, everything is completely sterile, and everything is good.
All right. Let's move on to the next one. Yeah. So what do we have? That's the more common.
That's just beeswax. So this is beeswax. So beeswax it's almost a byproduct that we use from the hive, but it's such a miraculous thing, beeswax, and we don't really realize how good beeswax is. So it takes a lot of work for the bees to make beeswax as well, which we don't really talk about enough, and I don't really talk about this as well much. But this is something that the bees produce themselves. So bees, they can, they make the honey. They have special stomachs which store the nectar in when they collect it from the flowers. When the bees make nectar, when they make honey, they go to the flower. They have a special tongue, specially designed tongue, which can reach down deep into the flower, and they can suck up the nectar. And it's nectar at that stage. And they put it into their stomach. And they have two stomachs. The honeybee has two stomachs. It doesn't just have one stomach, it has two stomachs. And that to me is also a miracle, because in the Qur'an, in the ayat, it talks about the two stomachs of the honeybee. And this is something which wasn't known until modern times.
SubhanAllah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And Qur'an mentioned it.
Qur'an mentions it specifically. It says the two stomachs. So they store it in one stomach, the honey stomach, and then they'll bring that, and when it goes into their stomach, enzymes are added into that, into their stomach as well. And that starts the conversion process of that nectar. But you can't just get nectar from a flower, pull it out from the flower somehow, put it into the frame, evaporate it, and then that's honey. That's not honey.
You can't do that.
Without it going into the bee, without the bee adding enzymes into it, it's not going to be honey. So they come back to the hive, they'll pass it on to one of their sisters, the young ones that we talked about earlier. And then they'll put it into the frame, and then they evaporate it, and then it becomes honey eventually when it reaches less than 20% moisture. So honey, when bees collect nectar, it has, it could have 70, 80% moisture in there. But when it's got so much moisture in there, it can go bad at that stage. It can ferment.
Right.
So what the bees do is they get rid of all this excess moisture. It's almost like us making a soup.
Oh.
You know, we get rid of all that excess moisture and we're boiling it down. And the bees do this and they get it down to less than 20%. And now it's like a super saturated solution. And then they put this wax capping on, like we see here, and then the honey is done.
You take it out?
Yeah, we can take it out. Let's have a look at that. So this is a frame that the bees have made. There's probably about 2.5 to 3 pounds of honey on that. But we can see that it looks white and this is wax. So this is wax that the bees have put on the frame. So we know that honey which is behind there is ripe. We call it ripe. It means it's ready. It means it's ready. So the bees have reduced it down to less than 20%. And this honey will stay for centuries and it won't go off. If we leave it like this, it won't go bad. It can stay like that.
That's a miracle in itself as well.
Isn't
That's
it?
another miracle full of miracles.
Yeah, it just won't go bad at all. But the beeswax, the bees create from their body as well. So they have special glands. The bee is like, it's so small, but it's such a perfect insect for what it does. It's a miracle. That's why it's mentioned in the Qur'an, isn't it?
That's why it's mentioned.
And it's told us to think about this as science. So they have glands on their body, on the underside of their body, which can create this wax, these flakes of wax. These tiny, tiny little flakes of wax they create. This is actually a lot. It looks small, but it's actually a lot of wax on here. So they create this flakes of wax and then they mold it with their mouth parts and they make it into this hexagon shape that we know as beeswax. And that shape is as well is a miracle. It's the shape that can hold the most amount in there and it's the strongest and it leaves no gaps as well.
Wow, that's why it's hexagon.
That's why it's hexagon. Even like if they do it in squares, there's going to be tiny gaps in there and it's not going to be very strong. If they do triangles, there's going to be small little gaps, but the strength is not there as well. But when they make it as that shape, it's the strongest shape there is and it can hold the most amount in there as well. And not only that, but when they make it, you can't actually see it on this. It's very hard to see on this, but they don't just make it straight. So the cells, imagine there's two, there's one on that side and there's one on that side. So it's not like that or like that, because when they put the nectar in, if it was that way, it'd run out of the cell. So they do it slightly at an angle as well. So it doesn't just fall out again. So it's like perfect. The design is absolutely perfect. But when they make this beeswax, it takes so much effort to make that. So we talked about honey and how much effort the bees make. So to make 1 pound of honey, this is half a pound of honey. So these two make 1 pound of honey. And on that one frame, I said there was probably about 3 to 4 pounds of honey on that one frame. So to make this 1 pound of honey, the bees have to fly about 55,000 miles. 55,000 miles to make just that amount of honey. And they're probably visiting about 2 million flowers.
2 million?
2 million just to make that.
Wow.
So it's such
a lot of work.
It's a huge amount of work. And, you know, one bee, if we talk about just one bee, in its lifetime, the studies have been done on this to determine how much one bee can make. And the research that I've read, it says they make between 1/12 of a teaspoon to 1/2 of a teaspoon in its entire life.
That is,
which is like, how much is that? That's like nothing. That's like when we have honey at the bottom of a jar, sometimes you just say, chuck it away. There's only a little bit left. I can't get it out. I'll just chuck it away. You know how many bees have died making that honey for you? Put some water in there, swirl it around and drink it.
That's what I do.
Don't waste even a drop because it's a huge amount of effort. But to make beeswax, it takes 7 times more effort to make beeswax. So 1 pound of honey, 55,000 miles, 2 million flowers. The equivalent of this is 7 pounds of honey to make 1 pound of beeswax. So 1 pound of beeswax, they need 7 pounds of honey to make that. So it's a huge amount of effort for them. So it's such a miraculous thing. But beeswax is one of these things which also has goodness in there.
Do you consume it? How do you consume
it? We don't really consume it. It's not really something that is consumed, but externally it's really good for you. So it's really good for your skin. it's a really excellent moisturizing product for your skin.
Natural
moisturizer. One of the best actually that you can buy is natural beeswax. So we use it to make lip balms. So there's one here somewhere. There's a lip balm here. Yeah. So we use it to make lip balms out of. And from beeswax. Okay. Yeah. So it has oils in there, but it also has beeswax in there as well. And it's so good for moisturizing your skin. And it's because it doesn't have any other additives in there. Yeah, just open it up. We can have a look. You can try a bit out if you want. So
let me
if you have a look at that. Yeah. And because it's beeswax, you don't actually need much, and it moisturizes and it stays like that for a long time. You don't need much. We have people who buy a tin like that and they come back 6 months later saying, "I've still got some," because they don't need that much. And because it's all natural, even people who have got allergies to certain things, certain oils and things, they can still use this as well. Even when they have like eczema and things like that, we have people who have got those things and they'll come and buy that as well because it works for them. So, this is also a way for you to increase your business as well.
Yeah, that's multiple ways.
Uses.
Yeah.
So it's not just the honey, but it's also the wax that you can use. It's also, the pollen and the propolis you can use as well. The other thing we do with the beeswax is we make candles.
Oh, right.
We make pure beeswax candles. And, if we talk about in this country, actually a lot of the countries in the past, especially the churches, they used to have beehives on the church grounds.
Oh.
So a lot of times on churches, on the ground, there would always be 1 or 2 beehives there. And the reason they do that, or they had those hives, is not for this, it's not for the honey, it was actually for the beeswax.
So they can get the candles.
Oh. Because one of the properties that beeswax has is when you burn it as a candle, it doesn't create soot.
So it's good for environment as well.
Yeah, so it's pure. The actual, the light that comes out is very bright and it doesn't let off this soot. And in a lot of the churches, they have very ornate tapestries and artwork everywhere. And they don't want those to get any problems with those. Because when they use other kind of candles, like things made of tallow and things like that, when they burn those, they let off all this smoke and soot. And then that causes problems for the tapestries and inside. So that's why they used to use beeswax.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
So the health benefit of that as well, just quickly as well, is...
so in terms of money, so many variety of things out there, you can make a business out of it. And
absolutely.
It's all natural.
Yeah.
It's no side effects. And obviously, so money, no honey, I mean, kind of thing. Money is there as well. You can make a lot of money out of all these products. So another thing I want to find out, like in global, like biggest global markets for honey right now, what do you think? Where do you see the most opportunities as well?
So there are a huge number of opportunities in different countries. So if we look at the biggest consumers of honey, so the biggest consumer is actually the US. Funnily enough, the USA, because it's a massive country as well, isn't it? So they are the biggest consumers. But one of the big growing markets is actually in the Middle East as well.
Oh,
so the Middle East and Mexico, and Mexico as well, and also, funny enough, Ethiopia for some reason. It's one of the growing markets for honey. So they're countries which do use a lot of honey, and they import a lot of honey as well. Especially if we talk about the Middle East, they like quality. They want quality as well.
Are we talking about Gulf countries?
Yeah. So they want nice quality of honey. So there is a very big market there for people who want to export their honey there rather than importing from there. Because people do that. We import, well, I don't because I do only British honey. But people import, we talked about cedar honey before. People love to import cedar honey or Manuka honey or different kinds of honey from different countries. But people don't think about exporting.
Yeah.
We have certain honeys in this country which are very unique to this country as well.
Right,
which don't, like we have heather honey.
Okay.
Which is like, very special honey which grows in this country. And it's a really, really highly nutritious honey. And it's a very special kind of honey as well. It only grows in certain parts of the country. And it's something that we can export, but we don't do enough of it. So there's certain things here which we can export, and there's a big business there if we go into that. So, look at the halal aspects of it, the way we look after the bees as well. And I think we need to promote that a bit more.
Of course, yeah. Have you ever tried going to a big supermarket in this country and offer them like, look, I'm going to provide you. I know they're going to start with, give us 250,000 jars, for example. That's how they're going to start. The first order will be, I imagine, all these big supermarkets. Yeah. Did you ever thought about it? I'm going to have a conversation. I can make big money out of it. Because the first order is going to be big. That's
imagine. True. That's true. So, yes and no. So we have thought about it, and I haven't actually gone to a supermarket myself. And the reason I haven't gone to a supermarket is because their margins are really small. They really do push their suppliers to keep the prices as low as possible.
But they are very expensive. Sidr honey, Manuka honey, they are really expensive.
They are expensive. Prices. Yeah, but they tend to buy it very cheaply from where they buy it, and the margins are very small. So yes, you can go to, but what I would do is rather than going to big supermarkets, I'd go to like health food shops, bakeries, people like that. Where they're going to buy it maybe in smaller quantities, but on a regular, consistent basis. So you're going to get that consistent selling, and your prices are going to be at a better rate as well.
But don't you think like people like in this day and age, I feel like they don't want to compromise on the quality. If you provide them this super quality of product,
you're absolutely right. Yeah. So there is one supermarket who I am thinking about, But what I look for, and I think we should as Muslims especially, is a company which is ethical as well.
Of course, yeah.
Some of these supermarkets are not.
Yeah.
Their business models maybe do not align with our faith as well. So there are one or two big ones which are quite ethical, and they are ones I have considered as well. So from a personal level, we do now supply, I won't tell you the name of the company, but we do supply to one very big retailer now. Quite a prestigious.
No, you can say that. No problem.
Yeah, no, I won't tell you the name, but we do sell to one prestigious.
That's good.
It's in the city in London as well. Sure. So alhamdulillah, they buy off us.
Yeah.
We're doing quite well out of that as well.
That's good.
But there are other margins. There are other places you can sell as well. So like I talked about, we can go to the health food shops. We can go to, and if you're just starting, local markets are very good as well.
Yeah.
So go to your local markets. Go to your masajid. Get the word out as well. Tell them your story. Tell them how you came into this. Educate them on the goodness of your honey as opposed to this cheaper supermarket honey that you're buying.
It's all about education, isn't it, bro? That you need to educate people, and then they're gonna get into it.
Exactly. It's like we were talking earlier about this kind of honey, right? Yeah. We're talking about this kind of honey, which is
Uncle
solid.
And auntie is going to still think this sugar.
Yeah. Even after 16 years, I'm still having the same conversations with people about this, where people say to me, this is not honey. What have you done to this? You've added sugar in there, haven't you? And then I have to explain to you, no, this is a completely natural process which happens with honey. So if we look at this one, it's still liquid. Yeah. It's still liquid in there. I might be able to open that one up. And this jar of honey is about, it's really hard. It's about 8 years old now. 8, maybe even 9 years old. And it's still liquid, this one.
8 to 9
years. And it's still liquid in there. Whereas this one is probably less than a year old. And it's completely hard. And the reason they do that is all to do with the flowers the bees are going on. So when the bees are collecting the nectar, certain flowers or certain plants, they have more natural glucose in there, and some of them have more natural fructose and other things as well. Right. But if we look at these two sugars, if it has more natural glucose in it, it'll crystallize a lot quicker.
Right.
If it has more natural fructose, it'll stay liquid for longer. Wow. But eventually it will crystallize. It will still have some.
8 years now.
Yeah, this one hasn't. Yeah. So with honey, especially the ones which have got really high natural glucose in there, sometimes they crystallize so fast that we have to take the honey off the hive and we have to extract it within a day or two. Otherwise, it will go solid in the frame. It will go like that in the frame. So this is one of those honeys that we talk about.
Yeah, that's why I was talking to you earlier. I felt like you put some
it looks like
haldi, like what you call that thing, turmeric in it.
Yeah, turmeric in there, because it's brown and everything, right? Yeah. So this is ivy. So this is ivy honey. So we see ivy growing all over the place. And most times we look at the ivy bush and we don't even know it has flowers on it.
And there you go.
But, this to me It's probably one of the most miraculous honeys that I find in this country.
How?
Have a smell of that.
And it's running as well. It's
Yeah, and you know what? I don't really do this very often, but have a taste.
not, sure.
Have a taste. It probably doesn't even taste like honey. You probably wouldn't even know it's honey if someone didn't tell you it's honey.
No.
Because it's not in sweets.
No,
it's got hardly any sweetness in there. But it has a huge amount of health benefits in there. And it comes out of a time when you need it the most. So, you know, we talked about how the bees, they need to evaporate the excess moisture from the nectar they bring in.
Yeah.
If they put the nectar into the frame and they don't get rid of this excess moisture, and then they consume that, because it has so much water content in there, that's not good for the bees' digestive system. So it basically gives them dysentery if they have it like that. So they need to get rid of all this excess moisture. But when it gets cold, like now, it's getting to autumn time, the bees find it very hard to get rid of the excess moisture because it's cold. So like when we turn our cooker on and we're evaporating off all this water from the soup, we need the heat. Similarly, the bees need heat as well. So what do they do when it comes autumn? It's very hard for them to get rid of the excess moisture. And then if they have that nectar in the frame over winter, then it might cause them dysentery over winter. And then they'll come out in spring and they might have all these problems and they might never survive the winter. But ivy, and this is where like it blows my mind thinking about it. And this is like the blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to all these animals and these insects. When the bees collect ivy and it comes out now, so it's usually the last flower that the bees can collect. So once I see ivy out, I know that that's it. Winter's almost here now because that's the last thing that they can collect. And it's opened already. In London, it's starting to open up now. But when the bees collect ivy, they basically just collect it, put it in the cell, and that's more or less it. It's done.
End of the season.
It has hardly any moisture in there. They just collect it, put it in, and it's almost done completely. So it comes out at a time when the bees and other insects need it. But you know, this shows you the mercy that Allah has even to all these insects, that they'll just collect it, put it in. They don't need to even hardly process it, and it's done for them. And it comes out at that time of the year.
This particular time of the year,
of the year.
It's like we are going towards winter.
Yeah, and they can't evaporate that moisture. So imagine the mercy that Allah has for these tiny insects. Can you imagine the mercy He has for us if we obey Him, right? It's just like, gets you thinking. And, you know,
All right, let's get back to the money side of things. To finish that segment off, is like how is an entrepreneur, someone who loves, you know, like entrepreneurship, they want to set up a business and stuff. And after hearing all these amazing benefits, miracles, you know, like we're talking about Qur'an and Sunnah and all the rest of it, and then healing in there as well. So if they want to start a business for the, you know, honey business, what's the first practical step or few first practical steps? What should they take?
I think very similar to my story, actually. So the very first step you should take is, I think you should understand for yourself whether you want to import honey and resell it. So if you want to be a reseller of honey, or if you want to do it yourself like I do. But whichever avenue you go down, if you're going to go down the avenue like I did, you need to learn about honey first. So you need to educate yourself about the honey.
Learn your product first.
Learn your product.
Need to know about your product.
And learn your craft as well.
Yeah, of course.
So with bees, you can't just put them in your garden and that's it. They'll produce honey. It's not like that. You have to learn how to look after them. You have to learn what's good for them, what's bad for them. You have to learn about all the diseases. You have to learn about this thing called swarming, where the bees are reproducing. You have to learn how to manage them as well. You have to make sure that they are healthy as possible. Healthy bees produce more honey. That's what I tell people as well. Think about the bees' health, and then the honey will come in. But also learn what's in the environment, what is out there as well. So the very first thing you need to do is educate yourself. So look at your market, educate yourself about the honey and about the bees. You know, ensure that you produce the most nutritious and rich and pure product that you can have. If you're going to import the honey and resell it, then make sure you get certifications as well. So from a lot of the countries where you can import the honey, they have certifications to say that, you know, the honey's been tested in the labs. It's genuine, it's pure. Make sure you can trust the person you're buying it from as well, because there's a lot of middlemen, and
That's right,
you can get adulteration as well. So I think the first thing is, do those things, do your homework, don't go into it blind. Really research these things.
It's more than a business then. It's something you're trying to, help people with. It's not just money making.
Exactly.
You can make money anywhere else. But
think about the shifa and the benefits that you're going to give to everyone as well, and go in with that intention as well. But, do that first. And I think then the next thing or maybe even the first thing you want to think about is your branding, which is so important. People don't realize how important branding is for a company. If you want to do it through the Islamic side of it, then do it through the Islamic side of it as well. Make sure that you let people know that, it has shifa in it as well.
But I feel like Prophet ﷺ and the Qur'an has done the marketing already.
It has.
Marketing is done for you.
Yeah.
We just need to raise awareness, basically.
Raise awareness of that. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And do that as well, and educate people as well that this is what this is what we're doing. This is our market. This is a pure honey that we have got. But also make your jars look nice, and don't just have it so it looks cheap and tacky. Spend a bit of time, make it all look nice. Set up a website as well, because that's how people work nowadays. Yeah. Everyone works online nowadays. Yeah. So you need to have an online presence as well. Make sure you market it properly. Talk to people who are going to give you good advice. That's the other thing. And I think the other thing I would say,
what's the top advice you're going to give it to a budding entrepreneur and they want to do something?
Especially like this. Yeah. I think, if you want to do honey especially, then do honey, but research into it first and get your advice from people you can trust. And don't tell too many people as well. That's the other thing, especially in the early days. Keep it to yourself, keep it to a small bunch of people that you really trust. Try it out for yourself, and don't be scared as well. So a lot of people, they'll get to a stage and they'll find barriers to the market as well. There are, even now, I've been doing it for a long time, for 16 years. But there are a lot of other people coming into the market now as well. And you don't look at it as, they're taking away my market share, or they're doing this, or they're doing that. We have to be honest in our business model. And that's really the advice I'm going to give. Be honest in your model, however you're going to do it. If you're importing it, tell people you're importing it. Don't make up some other story which is not right. Be absolutely upfront with people about the way you're doing your honey, the marketing behind it, your reason for doing it as well, and make sure it's all legal as well, and legal and above board. Because I know so many people that they'll go out to markets and they'll sell their honey, but they haven't got all the legal documents behind them. They haven't got the insurance behind it. They haven't had their honey. You don't officially have to get it tested, but there's certain labeling regulations you have to follow. There's certain you have to put certain batch numbers and certain wordings on your jars as well. Otherwise, you will get problems later on. Maybe not in the early days, but as soon as you start scaling and people become aware of your honey, you start getting visited from trading standards as well. And you will get problems. We've had that. We've had trading standards come into our place. But it's fine. You can come if you want, because we're all above board. All of our labeling is done correctly. And you have to do that. And, when people give you advice, good advice, now, some people don't give you good advice. You have to be able to distinguish between them. Take the advice on board. It's like, within our religion as well, right? If you're doing something wrong and someone sincerely tells you the advice, take the advice. If someone's just doing it just to show that they're better than you are, take it with a pinch of salt.
Jealousy as well. I don't know, if you want to start a new business or you want to do something, most of the people are not happy about it. That's how our culture is. Unfortunately, but
it's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate, but that does happen. That does happen. So that was one of the reasons I was saying that. When you're starting first, keep it to yourself. Keep it within a small bunch of people. Try it out. Try your markets out. And even if you make honey is not one of these things that you can instantly make a lot of money on. It takes time. But even when you reach to a certain level, you don't have to tell people exactly how much you're making or how you're doing or where you're going and things like that. Keep it to yourself.
And while you going through the process, you can create content and let people know, raise awareness and stuff.
Exactly.
It's like a full, wholesome thing you can
But you are going to get problems. That's the thing. It's like within any business, you are going to get issues. There's going to be entries to, problems about entering the market in the first place. People try to keep you back sometimes.
That's right, yeah.
And, push yourself forward, get past those barriers. You want to differentiate yourself somehow from all the other people which are out there. If you do the honey yourself, you're instantly differentiating yourself anyway.
You are.
If you're importing, find a niche, find something which is going to differentiate you from these other 100 people which are out there, and build trust. So people will come back to you when they trust you. And that's really important. You want to build brand loyalty, which is very, very important. It takes only a minute to break that loyalty, and people won't come back to you. So that's why I said, be upfront with people, be honest with people with your dealings. If we go back and think about how the Prophet ﷺ was, people knew him for his honesty. Even after he used to look after the money for the Quraysh. Actually, I'm just going back to Jummah. My imam at the mosque was talking about this exact same subject, funny enough. So he was talking about how, the Quraysh, before the Prophet ﷺ said he was a prophet, or he was told to reveal it, they used to give him their money to look after. So the Prophet ﷺ was holding on to the money for the Quraysh because they knew that he was the most honest person that they could trust. So even after he announced his prophethood, people didn't believe that he was a prophet. The Quraysh didn't believe. But they were still happy to leave the money with them because they still trusted him. And it's a similar kind of thing. Trust is something which takes a long time to build up. But once people do trust you, that trust is going to be there for life. But, if you start bending the truth or, that's not...
In a business, that's the trust is the main thing for everyone.
Trust is the main thing.
And let's move on. So what we can do, that's fascinating, So let's talk about some, still you get, sometimes I get this question all the time. So one of the facts about honey, when you tell people, they get amazed, they get to hear that. I say, wow, we didn't know about. One fact.
About honey or about the bees?
About honey.
About honey, okay. We actually mentioned it earlier on. We mentioned about how much work goes into making the honey. So, how we talked about how the bees can travel that far and they, 1/12 of a teaspoon that they make. But, that's one miracle on its own. And that thing always fascinates people. When we tell people about that and how much effort goes into it, I think that's something which always fascinates people. But they don't realize also about all these other things that the bees make. So when you tell them about, the propolis and the pollen, all of those things, which people don't realize that the bees can make as well. So I think people find that really fascinating as well.
Right. Okay, let's try to wrap it up here. Let's see, this is a very powerful, kind of like a tradition, business, everything is. So what do you think, what's your advice for the new generation, younger generation, how to keep this, especially South Asian Muslim people? What advice do you have for them to just carry on this forward?
I think we definitely should carry on this. It's something that has been done for thousands upon thousands of years by people, even of our ethnicity. Back home, you do get beekeepers as well.
No.
We do get beekeepers in certain places as well. So if you look at, if you come from Egypt, for example, there's still beekeepers there who are doing it in the traditional way.
They are,
All right, now we have modern methods of beekeeping. And we should be looking at modern methods of beekeeping as well.
To keep developing ourselves.
And to look at the next best way of managing the bees as well. So I think, as the younger generation is very much into development, and they are looking at new technology and how that can interact with what you're doing. And I think that's something that the youth should be striving towards. So yes, absolutely, go into the honey business. Go into the business of looking after the bees as well. But also look at new technology. Look at ways that you can use the things which are out there to help as well. So I think we touched upon this before, that as Muslims, we should be at the forefront of technology. We should be leading the way. So, look at all innovations. Look at ways that we can market ourselves better. Use AI to our advantage. Look at all new technology which is out there and develop that as well. And also, when you go into this business, don't stop in your understanding of things. So beekeeping is such a vast subject. So you can go into it for the honey. That's one thing you can go into. You can go into it for the pollen and the beeswax. You can go into it in that angle. You can also go into it looking at the bees as well. So one of the things that we do in our business as well is we sell bees. We sell bees and we sell beehives. So when you're doing that, there's an aspect of making the bees better. Because there's ways that you can improve the temperament of your bees and the way that they gather honey over time by developing and looking at the traits of the bees, which are the best, and developing that to make it a better kind of bee. And you can have some colonies which are more resistant to disease. So you want to breed from those ones.
Oh, right. That's a completely different science.
That's a different side of it as well. So, you can look at that side of it as well. And then there's another side where, and I've been doing this within the last couple of years, you can start looking at certain diseases that the bees might have under a microscope and look to see if there's any ways that you can work to alleviate some of these diseases. So there's those kind of research methods as well. And that's big business as well. So, because the bees, in this country, they're not doing too bad, but in certain other countries, there's huge problems for the bees. And so there's so much research going on as well. So if you want to go into research side as well, then that's another aspect you can look into. So don't restrict yourself just to one thing. I think look at the vastness of this as well and investigate that as well. So the Qur'an talks about the honeybee and it tells us it's for people who think. So think about these things, research these things, and I think increase your knowledge as best you can and use what's out there to your advantage.
That's brilliant. That was amazing. Thank you very much, bro.
Jazakallah.